On this New Year day, myself and the crew would like to sincerely thank you for swinging by, for taking a little bit of time out of this auspicious day to join us lot. Us few, us jolly few, us band of brothers here to bring you an honest to goodness look at what not only we think about the world, but what the world is truly coming to. Boys, I don't have a lot, so I'm just gonna, that was my holly jolly merry new year kind of intro. So of course I'm gonna kick it off to my right-hand man, the common sense guy. Let him give his little bit and we'll go that direction.
Yeah, fair enough then. Well, obviously, as what the ogre has just said, I'd like to wish everybody a Merry Christmas. No, sorry, hang on, wait a minute. A Happy New Year. Still drunk from Christmas, I think. No, but I would like to wish everybody a Happy New Year, and hopefully we should get some good guests on our police state as well. We've got a couple that are lined up, which should be very, very interesting. Also, starting from the 8th as well. Obviously, we've got my birthday Friday. Which we've got quite a lot of guests coming on that one, or we should do, hopefully. But we've also got our first police state of January on January 8th, and that should be quite an interesting one if the guest I have, which has confirmed, should be turning up. So hopefully that should be quite a decent one. Well,
I know who that is too.
Exactly, yes you do. Yes, you do indeed. It should be a very, very interesting one. So what I'm going to do is, as Magic Bollocks is the lowest on the totem pole, I'm going to let him say what he wants to say, and then he can pick the story to kick off.
Yep. Hello, everyone. It's Magic Bollocks here, the lowest person in the pecking order. And I'd just like to wish you all a very crappy new year, and I hope that my year goes better than yours. Right. Let's get straight into whatever we want to talk about today, because I'm hoping, I haven't looked myself, to be honest, the boys have picked some incredibly saucy and extremely politically incorrect stories.
You're about 50% right. I think the first one is, I don't know, it's kind of a throwaway, so I'll pop it up here. It's hippie dream, now $1 billion industry. And I feel like I may be robot, and if I am anyone that sees that happening, feel free to let me know. I shut down some startup programs. I had no idea we're running in the periphery. I hope things will go much smoother than they have in the past. But here you go, Magic Bollocks. Hippie dream, now $1 billion industry. Billion, but it always has been, lads. Don't get it wrong. It's $1 billion industry in your country right now, whether they want to admit it or not. So it says, with California set to legalize cannabis, the only one that will lose out on this is the court system. So it says, while Arctic conditions gripped America's Northeast, balmy sunshine bathed Los Angeles last week, but that's not the only reason denizens of Venice Boardwalk were feeling mellow. An astringent, earthy aroma infused the Pacific zephyrs wafting through the buskers, joggers, skateboarders, tourists, and panhandlers. When I read this the first time, I thought this guy wanted to make this as convoluted as possible. So he used a bunch of words that didn't really go together. So it says, weed is a part of the culture here, said Oni Fairley, 30, preacher on Sandy Mound, watching life go by. It's part of the LA/California scene, the laid-back vibe. He ignored a police patrol car that inched through the throng. I've blazed in front of the cops and they don't say anything. To be honest, most of the time I'm so high, I don't notice them. And then I could go on, boys, but it's just more of the same right there. There are changing, and I don't want to, I'm going to steer this if I may, and I'll leave. Everybody can see this now. Bollocks, you lot, of course, common sense, you can see this. We'll pick our stories. This is not the one I'm picking. But I would like to steer this a wee bit and say, the idea that they are now legalizing marijuana in California, cannabis, I prefer, of course, and that's going to make this, come on. As I said, leave it at this. The only people missing out will be law enforcement, and the court system. Why on God's earth, common sense guy? Why? You're the one here with the common sense. Why on God's green earth would marijuana be illegal?
No, I agree with you. I mean, obviously, you yourself and Mad Dog obviously know quite a lot about my opinions on drugs in themselves, but mine's more of a higher tier, or what I would classify as a higher tier, with dependencies that come from it. But stuff like marijuana, I don't really have a problem with. The same as mushrooms. Yes, I know mushrooms you could say that have hallucinogenic properties, but it's a case of not many people die from them. It's the same thing with marijuana. Nobody has ever had an overdose from marijuana. So it's a case of there's nothing really that's going on. The only thing that you could argue is that if you smoke it before the age of 21, it could, and it's a big could, it's never been confirmed nor denied, but it's a could stop your brain development. That's the only thing it could. And notice I'm stressing the could because it's not confirmed yet. But it could do something. So for marijuana to be legalized, I don't have a problem with it. I don't think there's any problem with it in the world. In actual fact, I'm quite happy that it's being confirmed and it's actually being legalized, because we can get hemp out of the actual plant as well. We can also turn that into clothes. I mean, don't get me wrong, I probably wouldn't wear them. But for people that don't have any money, they could have the clothes and things like that. You could also get to the point of using it for paper and things like that. You could also use it as a crop. There's so many things that you can actually use it for, as well as medicinal purposes, obviously. It's just funny. I mean, everybody's coming at me at this moment in time with different points, and it, like in the chat, and it's just, I said could. I didn't say I believe that's what happens. I'm saying that's what the government uses as a point. I'm not saying that's what I believe in.
You're on record now, mate. They got you now. No, okay.
Well, I've been smoking since I was 11, and I smoked marijuana since the age of 12, and I stopped at the age of 18 because I moved.
But you know how this
areas.
law will be. Anything you say can and will be used against you in the court of opinion on YouTube and the internet.
But that's the best thing, though. That keeps you honest, because that way people always remember when you actually say something and you go, "Oh, I didn't say that. Sorry, my video's just finished." If you heard the bing,
you got to be careful about what you say. You definitely do.
Well, no, it's not a case of being careful. It's a case of remembering your principles. If you actually answer honestly, you will never find out anything that's wrong. You never find that you've contradicted yourself, because as long as you stick to your principles, you could argue that principles change. But generally, they don't after a certain age. You normally stick to your principles. So you generally get more and more conservative, generally, because you own more and more property and you want to keep what you got. It's just the way that life is. What does Mad Dodge think? Mad Dodge? What does Magic Bollocks think? Sorry, I thought I was on Red Eye for a while.
No, well, I was looking at him there too. So.
We were just assuming I could do a good impression of Mad Dodge and just pretend that was what he was on with us.
Yeah, you can't do a good impression of Mad Dodge because you need to have
Mad Dodge has a voice, and it reminds me of somebody. And I can't remember who yet.
Well, not only the kids, he can't pretend to be that drunk. No one can.
Oh God, I thought it was only me who noticed that. Anyway, when we're finished slagging off people in the chat, what do I think about skunk? Well, I personally think that people should be able to do pretty much whatever they want, whenever they want, however they want, as long as they're within a certain confine of a very, very light government regulation and not hurting anybody else.
Okay, all right, and I appreciate that, but hang on, ding, ding, ding. We are getting our balls wrung right now by AdSense. This last month, you folks were very generous. And we're this close. I was talking to the Common Sense guy today. We're this close to just turning Super Chat off and making it just a direct deposit to what do you call it, Common Sense guy? PayPal. And that's probably, we'll see, maybe the way it's going to go. I just know they keep saying 90. It's a long, sad story. I'm trying to get Common Sense Guy involved in right now, but honest to God, he just wants his money. He can't be bothered with all the if, ands, whats, and why fors. I don't blame him. So I don't. I mean, you're laughing because you know it's true. I mean, it's the way it is. We can't be bothered. But we just would like to ask you now. What this is the whole point of that is if you have a question, pay. Why? Because we're horrific, horrible individuals that only care about ourselves and what we have to eat and drink. And Common Sense Guy's about ready to go to school. He's got to get a computer. This is valuable time. I don't know. I mean, that's my own. I don't know how to do this. I'm very new at this, so I wanted to make it short. So that's my thing. So here it is. Got a question. Want to know what kind of marijuana Magic Bollock smokes? Would you like to know how big Common Sense Guy's penis is? Do you want to, whatever it is, you ask your questions. That's fine. We will not answer them unless they are wrapped in at least a 2-pound note. So wrap it in a 2-pound note, send it out there. It will almost make this super chat thing worth the while. So there you go, boys. I appreciate it too, Magic Bollocks. I just know you, mate. You keep saying it. I will answer any questions. No, he won't. No, he won't. He would love to.
That was only if they did a super chat, Mr. Ogre, remember?
Oh, well, right. So he's already a step ahead of me. So thank you very much, folks, and we're going to move along. We would like to see some super chats today, but we're not going to have a dinger today. What we're probably going to do is I'll talk about it here coming later on in the show. We're probably going to have a flat out, what do you call it? When you get together at the school, you got to have a charity drive, a fundraiser. We will do that. Chances are the super chat's going to go away. Things that have to drastically change because they charge you all way too much money to give us a dime. So it looks like I'm roboting now. It means I got to shut up. Thank you for answering that, Magic Bollocks. Of course, no ill will toward you or anyone else. But you can't just ask Magic Bollock questions. If you want to get to know him, find out what his email is. Ask him there. You want to get to know him here? Hey, $2. All right. That was so fucking weird. And by the way, did I mention also Happy New Year?
Do you know what? You can really, really tell my corruption's starting to affect you two now, and I'm very proud of that.
Hey, you say you too, as in like I'm including in this. I just roll along with what his ideas are.
Hang on, you didn't at one point say, "Hang on a minute, that you can't do that, Mr. Ogre. That's not allowed." Just carry on, mate.
It's on Ogre's stream.
You don't see the Twitter. You don't see our Twitter, Magic Bollocks. That you don't see our personal communiques, is what I mean to say. I mean, he may not answer that last question of did you say, but he may have been sending me a personal communique just now saying, quiet down about the donations, Mr. Ogre. They'll come in. It's just I've been getting my balls busted on this AdSense thing. It really is. This is not necessarily a call out for money. Although, if you would like to, look, let's move on. Yes, you have rubbed off on me. And you know what I did? I watched Lionel Nation today. I think I even bothered you, Common Sense Guy, with a little tweet about it. Yep. I was watching Lionel Nation, watching what happened. And that's why there are things that have changed. I'm not going to talk about them either. There are things that have changed. All you have to do is look at the chat and see some things have changed. They're going to be a certain way. Why? Because, damn it, I want to fucking be successful. I do. I want Common Sense Guy to be successful. I want Magic Bollocks to be successful. And certain things have been brought to the attention of me, at least, and the group. And we love you folks. We want this to be special for you. We want this to not just be a normal everyday thing. So that said, what are we going to do now, boys? Who cares about marijuana? It's ridiculous. The idea that they're going to make pot legal in California now suddenly billions of dollars. No, thank you so much, their point creation. Very, very, very nice of you. More like a mid-sense. No problem. Everybody can see that themselves. I can hardly read it without laughing. Thank you very much, Point. Everyone else will join suit. We're sure, but we're going to keep on kicking on. What do we really believe, gentlemen? Do we think that who loses and who wins by marijuana being legal? That's the question. I don't care who talks about it.
The people themselves obviously win, especially if you're actually going to use it for what they intended it for in the first place. Even if it's recreational, it's not going to do anything. All it's going to do is make you stay at home and eat stuff. It's not going to make you go off and be a criminal somewhere. It's not going to force you to lose all of your money and everything else like that. The worst thing with weed is it's going to make you hungry. The best thing with weed is it's going to help you with your pain and things like that as a medical point of view. So for people, there's nothing that can come bad of marijuana. For the government, it's a case of they can't put people in prison anymore. It's a case that they can't put people on misdemeanors anymore. It's a case that they can't have that as a point of trying to search people anymore as well. You know, you smell that you've got some weed on you, let's search you. They can't use that as a point anymore. So it's a case of the opiate procedures as well that are going on will also stop, which means that people like myself that use morphine sulfate to get rid of my problems and my pain, I can then go onto something like a cannabinoid oil, or I can go onto a vaporized version of cannabis to be able to get rid of some of my pain. That's if it was ever legal here, but that's the same thing as what it would be over there as well. It's just the whole point of it doesn't affect anybody except the government. That's the only thing it accepts. It's the only thing that it will affect, which is the government. That's it. Won't affect people.
There's good and bad bollocks in being low man on the totem pole. Maybe people say things that you thought that you would say, you know what I mean, that were in your head, but you have what they said plus whatever you were thinking. It's a good and a bad. So I know you got an idea on this. Do you give a shit? Should we throw motherfuckers in prison? You know, for having pot and heroin and cocaine or whatever, or should we just what should we do?
Well, I wouldn't have somebody thrown in prison just smoking pot, Mr. Ogre. Otherwise, this channel would be shut down and I wouldn't have a job. And no, I generally don't have a major problem with people taking whatever they want, because I mean the real reason they set up the the war on drugs in America was just because it was a fantastic way for the establishment to make more money by locking loads of people up. And it's like any what's called state intervention, you know, for banning stuff, supposedly making things better for us. It never works, does it? Whenever the state gets involved in anything, they always fuck it up. So I'd rather we just have a system where the government only interferes in your life in the very tiniest amounts. And if you want to smoke skunk, you smoke skunk. If you want to do a line, fine. It's up to you. As long as you're not hurting anyone.
Yeah. And I'm not going to let this just rest at this. I kind of want common sense to take over, because I'm out of like prodders on this. But this is a deep social issue.
It's a deep social issue on the fact of if you, as what we were alluding to, if you go down the rabbit hole, so to speak, of legalizing marijuana, then why wouldn't you legalize, as you said, heroin and cocaine and things like that? Why wouldn't you? Apart from obviously different social contracts, different social programming, so to speak. I'm very, very affected by the social stigma that comes from them type of drugs. I've been around lots of people that have smoked them. As I said before, I have family members that have been in that situation and done those situations. So using an SJW tactic, I have point of actually being there. Sorry. But it's true. I've seen. It's true. I've seen it. I've experienced it. It's like you've had in this country. You have Peter Hitchison and you have obviously Russell Brand, the two opposing people. Oh, you need to treat people with that have drug addictions with compassion and things like that. And then you got Peter Hitchison that comes out and says the drugs away from them, you help them get back on their feet, and then you put them back out again. Now, somebody in the chat just said life is miserable without. I'm guessing you mean without drugs. Life isn't miserable. Life is what you make it. And that's just somebody that's had certain problems in my life, with which I've explained on the streams many times before. It's a case of, yeah, it's escapism. If you're not actually happy with what you're doing, whether you use alcohol, drugs, or slitting your wrist, so to speak, so you can feel the pain, which is a form of escapism, so you can feel something again. It's a case of those things are all to do with escapism. That means that you have to make you feel better about your life. Doing the alcohol and doing whatever doesn't make you feel better about your life. It's an escape from what you think your life is so bad. As I said on my little New Year's message, everything can be reset. every problem that you have can be fixed. It may not be fixed in the way that you want it to be fixed, but it can be fixed. It can be helped. It can be better. That's the point I would have to actually go on that.
And I'm looking at Binary Surfer, but I think maybe I'm either not hitting it on all cylinders. Look, here's the thing. The only law there really is, I don't care what law England or Great Britain or the United States of America, the federal government or the state of Michigan or the county that I'm in or whatever. I don't care what laws they make. Okay, look. No victim, no one hurt, no one at a loss for property, no one in fear for their life, no one worried about their family, no crime. It's as simple as that. If I am smoking and this is how they weasel it in. If I am smoking methamphetamine, 90 pounds, hitting the pipe, think I'm Jesus Christ Almighty on a crutch, just tweaking out. No one's business. Yeah, okay. The argument is it's hurting my family because no. You can't go there because everyone's individual right is that of self-actuation. I have the right to better myself or destroy myself. It doesn't matter which one I choose. Anything in between. I think of Fight Club, the movie Fight Club, and they're looking at this. They're on the subway, and Ed Norton looks at Brad Pitt and says, "Look at that guy." And there's that advertisement there with a dude all studded out in it's a Calvin Klein, I believe, advertisement for underwear. He was like, "Look at that guy." And Brad Pitt looks at him, looks at the advertisement, looks back at Ed Norton and says, "Self-improvement is self-masturbation." And to each their own. Maybe you feel that way. Maybe you feel like any kind of self-improvement is something that is just, you're being conceited, you're narcissists, staring in the well. Just a hair's breadth from falling in and drowning. Look, before I wax philosophical all night, boys.
No, I'm going to have to disagree with you before we move on, my friend.
Yeah, crack on. No, I wasn't going to move on. I was actually going to pass it off to either one of you, but you just spoke up.
Yeah, the reason why I'm speaking up is simply because that's fine if you're on your own. If you're absolutely on your own and you are not affecting anybody, I agree with you. Do what the fuck you like. It doesn't matter. But if you're going to sit there and tell me that the money that you spend or would spend if you were doing particular drugs like that, or getting to that point, or having a point of the fact that you've taken so much that now you're starting to get to the point where you can't go out and buy any yourself and you're having withdrawal symptoms, that affects the person that you're living with. That affects the people that you're with. Also, as well, if you can't physically go out because you need to work and you tell your children and your missus to go out looking for cigarettes for you because you don't have enough money to do both, or if you've got to make the decision to either buy electricity or buy the drugs, and then you go and buy drugs, sorry, my friend, you've got a problem and you are affecting other people. I know that this is not to do with anybody else that's alive or anything else like that. This is, as I said before, to do with a personal experience that I've had myself. But these personal experiences of what happened, that's the reason why so many people are on those type of drugs. And I mean higher level drugs. I don't mean things like marijuana that we were talking about before. I mean other sections that are dependent drugs that force you to buy the drugs themselves. I'm not trying to say that all drugs are bad, because they're not. All drugs are not bad. I'm not that kind of person. But at the same point, when you're just going to sit there, not you yourself, but anybody in this intellectual argument is going to sit there and go, "Oh yeah, but I have the point to self-determination." Yes, if you live on your own, you do. Of course you do. Of course you do. That's fine. Do what you need to do. But if you have a family that you're supporting, that you're the one who's looking after because you're the only person working, then you need to actually do something about it, because you are affecting the family members that you have. If you're spending money on drugs instead of spending money on your family, you are affecting your family. It's as simple as that. So you don't have the point of being able to look after yourself because you have supporting to look after. That's the only argument I have against that. If somebody else wants to carry over, what do you think, Magic?
Well, I've just been reading through the chat, and I've been doing a bit of a business proposition with Binary. He is promising to pay us some money if we address the issue of this strength differences. Now, I'm assuming what he's trying to get at there is, like, obviously the difference between just plain like marijuana and skunk and all the other different levels that what's good you can get, the strength. Now, I'm not particularly an expert on this because of the fact that I have been a good boy and probably only maybe once smoked a spliff, and that was literally outside my ex-employer by a work colleague who said, try this. And it was a case of didn't do nothing for me. And I'm just one of them people. I've never felt the need to do any drugs. Obviously, I have the occasional tipple of JD or some nice cider, but I've never smoked cigarettes. I've never done any sort of drugs. And even though it's been around me, it's just never appealed to me. I mean, I talked to loads of people, and one of my work colleagues is a fellow who's in his early 60s, and he's done hash all his life. And in fact, just like Binary's just said in the chat, he, funnily enough, is well into cake as well. And one of the weird traditions at my workplace is that on your birthday, you are expected to bring in cakes. Not, and, you know, just, you know, usual sort of Greg's variety sort of crap. And I have suggested to him before that he should bring in some of his special cake from home and dish them out, because I suspect that will probably be the most interesting day you will ever have in that company. It will certainly make the most uptight bastards that we work with incredibly friendly. But in terms of actual information on things like different kinds of strengths, different kinds of quality, all the crap that dealers sometimes put in them, I'm not a particular expert. I should imagine Mr. Ogre and Mr. Sense are the ones to ask on that one. So
what do you mean by that?
Nothing much.
Huh.
I'm not 100% sure before we carry on, but I think what Binary Surfer was trying to go on was the different strengths of not necessarily marijuana, but what we classify as the different classifications, as in what we classify as C drugs, B drugs, and A drugs, and some of why we classify them as why we classify them as. So if Binary Surfer just wants to put a yes or a no in, then that would be absolutely amazing, and we'll carry on with that point. If not,
well,
we'll
but
move on.
I know I'm just coming in here, but I just want to take just 1 second, if I may, common sense guy. The issue he's saying is not pot. The issue is the strength difference in different forms, hard stuff, worse. But yeah, so are you saying you're asking him different strengths of marijuana? Is that what you're asking him? Because I'm just coming back. I missed a little bit. Because what I see from this, if you're talking Binary Surfer, I love you. Thank you for your money. But to show you that your money means nothing to me, in my opinion, if you're saying different strengths of marijuana, I don't. Then you're getting screwed in strengths of marijuana. You can't really classify it because they're trying over there in your country. They call it skunk. Am I right?
Yeah, yes. That's correct.
That's bullshit. The idea that you got skunk. Well, skunk is just fresh marijuana.
Yep.
It could be outdoor grown. It could be indoor grown. Really don't matter. It just means that it's fresh. It's not compressed and squished up and a year old, brung to you up some camel's asshole. You know, whatever. It's just, it's fresh. So, yeah, is that the question you asked, yes or no? And if not, I really want to let these boys get on because I just jumped back into this.
I just see him in the chat that he's just put back. He said, yes, basically, yes, to the point of me saying about the different the different categories that we put drugs in. But he said also the different subtypes of pot, which I think you've explained absolutely amazingly. There isn't really pot as it's in just a different form of marketing. If you've got dry pot, then you don't say it's a super skunk. If you've got really wet and sticky weed, then you call it a form of super skunk. The same as if you've got a nice sticky form that's got a little bit of a different taste to it. Some of them call it a lemongrass and things like that. It depends on who you're getting it from and how they've grown it. But the strength of it doesn't necessarily mean that it's changed and that's why they don't have sub categories for pot. They just classify it as pot. But other drugs obviously have different effects on you, which causes you different problems, which is why they're in different categories.
That's right. This right here is Blue OG, and they would call this skunk in your country. This is Blue OG. It's very, very, very fresh. It stinks to high heaven, and it you know, if you look at it close or with a magnifying glass, you can see the crystals on it. There is no difference between this or Mexican brown compressed. The only difference is that, yeah, there may not be as many seeds in this, and you may be able to take less at a time, but the end thing, you said it so good earlier, Common Sense, it takes a train load of marijuana. In fact, you can't, as far as humans know, the LD50 on cannabis it's out of this world. You cannot OD on cannabis. It can't be done. No one has ever done it. And Lord knows I've tried. Can't be done. So I don't know. Look, Magic Box, can you just not be bothered with this? I'm going to make a wild guess and tell me if I'm lying. You don't smoke pot and you can't be bothered with marijuana. Potheads are just a bunch of goofy dumbasses.
I don't smoke anything at all, Mr. Ogre, so it doesn't affect me in the slightest.
Yeah, and potheads are just dumb, you know, jackasses, right? Just dumb brushes. We're all a bunch of brushes.
Not particularly. You just probably got a little less money than me. That's all.
I'm not gonna go there. I don't. I'll just say this: I don't pay for my marijuana. I don't pay money for it. It grows out of dirt. Marijuana does. It grows right out of dirt. You put like a seed in there, and it grows right out of there. You don't have to pay.
No. Binary Surfer is bringing up. Now correct me again if I'm wrong. I'm obviously interpreting this because it's harder to type, obviously. But I'm assuming that he's trying to say that marijuana, if it's used with people that already have a pre-existing psychosis or a problem with mental health in its generalization, would increase that mental health or psychological break, so to speak. It would increase it. And he's just wondering, how do you think that the statistics go on that? I'm assuming.
Well,
please correct me if I'm wrong in the chat.
I actually wrote it down. That's the only side effect to marijuana is if you are going to be paranoid schizophrenic. If you are going to be, not predilection to, no, if you are going to be paranoid schizophrenic, if you smoke marijuana, it could bring on your symptoms earlier. So in other words, you're 15, 16 years old, about the time paranoid schizophrenics usually show their symptoms. You are out in the, you know, ball yard with the lads. Somebody passes you a joint. Can anyone see where I'm going with this? Does it make sense? And common sense, you know where I'm going with this, but it doesn't. Common sense is not common, is what I'm trying to say. But yeah. If you already are going to be paranoid schizophrenic, has anybody ever smoked pot or really ate it? For me, or smoked too much and been like, oh my heart, and then, you know, you're looking, it's like, and you know, you get that paranoid. People think paranoid means you think somebody's following you, common sense guy. But no, you get that feeling like, ooh, I did too much pot. You know, you get that pure. See,
the thing that I always used to have when I used to smoke it to a heavy point is I always felt that I was being watched, or I could hear somebody walking, something like that. It doesn't mean that I was going to get chased. I always thought it was a form of ghost. I thought I was going through a dimensional gateway, and just amazing things. But nothing actually ever happened, obviously.
But that is the one thing that I not only can't argue with, it is true. If you are paranoid schizophrenic and you smoke marijuana before you show symptoms, it can bring those symptoms on sooner than they would have came on. That, to me, and I've searched it high and low. I've written papers on it, smoked it since I was about 17 years old, somewhere around there, 16, right at the 17-year mark. I've smoked it before, but never got high, like 2 or 3 times. But anyway, there's no ill effects to it, but it's not for everyone. You'll know right away. If you smoke it and go, ooh, I never want to do this again, don't do it again. It's not like alcohol or heroin or cocaine which I also think all these things should be legal because it's not.
That's funny. With cocaine, I've tried it a couple of times, and every time I tried it, it has done absolutely nothing to me. So I've never taken it. I've taken it 3 times.
No,
it's done nothing to me.
I'll tell you the truth, common sense. I'll be perfectly honest, okay? Not crack or shooting it up, okay? But the normal use of cocaine.
Oh, yeah, of course. That's what I was talking about.
I put that in the same category of marijuana. If you get hooked on snorting cocaine, you're a weak sister.
No, I agree. But there's slightly more medical side effects. For instance, losing the middle bit in your nose if you do it too often for a long point.
Your septum. And I don't know. What do you say, Magic Bollocks? What I want to do is, as we wrap this up, one of you two pick the next story, and we'll go with the next story. Is I was almost said tune. I've been in band so long. I was say, hey, what's next on the set, boys? Play the next one in 5. You know, we'll just take off. We're gonna kick it off on the 2. We're gonna come in on the 2. But yeah, one of y'all pick the next story sometime, and because Binary Surfer definitely paid for this segment. I think we answered the questions. I'm a little buzzed right now. It's New Year's Day. I felt so proud of myself for going on a week-long binge and then being sober and nothing but juice for 2 days, man. I'm on the 3rd day of raw right now. Just beer, and that's raw, I guess. No, they cook it. So I guess.
Yeah, I was going to say they cook the barley, my friend. They cook the barley.
They cook. Now I'm gonna shut up now before I get in trouble. But it's to each, you know, you have to do what you do. Do it in moderation. Do it with wisdom. Don't make something illegal. If I can buy this alcohol, Lord knows I should be able to buy heroin.
See, with the stats, I can't really argue too much with that. I really can't. To the point where the only thing I would say is I don't think that alcohol should be sold in the moderation that it is either, and it should come with a hell of a lot more stringent appetites with it as well. But that's just my opinion because I'm sticking to a principle. The fact that I know that more people die through alcohol than any other drug. I know for a fact that more people get addicted to alcohol than any other drug. But there is a correlation with this. It's the fact that so many people actually drink it more than do heroin. So there is a slight skewering of the statistics, but the statistics don't lie.
That's very socially acceptable too. Well, shit, look at this. Well. Everybody's leaving. It's New Year's Day, but we're so thankful for the 12 that are here, and we got paid for that lot. So what's next, Magic Bollocks? You got a story out of this, out of the what you call it, or something else? Is there something going on? It really don't matter today, Magic Bollocks.
No, I'm happy to keep it on track. Let's go to number 2. Don't you dare say that, young man. That looks very interesting.
So do y'all want me to read a piece of that before we go on?
Yes.
Okay. Right, so let me pop it up. I'll do my normal thing. It says, words banned for the new year. Fake news gets top vote. And this is real, folks. I will put this over here. Because so far, if I'm not roboting and I'm looking to my co-host to tell me if everything,
you're fine.
You're good.
I'm so paranoid over it now. But so since I'm not, let me do this. It says words banned for the new year. Fake news gets top vote. Detroit, of course. Let me ask you this: would a story that unpacks a list of tiresome words and phrases be impactful, or a nothing burger? Worse, could it just be fake news? And you can see they are actually holding a book by my beloved. I'm going to pull one out before the end of this. I've got like 10 of them. No, not that many, but I got 4 in my bookshelf at least, by Mark Dice. It says The True Story of Fake News. She's holding it, man. I can't believe it. Mark Dice is one of the ultimate trolls. So, Detroit, you just heard that Northern Michigan's Lake Superior State University on Sunday released its 43rd annual list of words banished from the Queen's English for misuse, overuse, and general uselessness. The tongue-in-cheek, non-binding list of 14 words or phrases comes from thousands of suggestions to the Sault Ste. Marie School. And I'll tell you, I'll show you where Sault Ste. Marie is. That breaks my heart. What a wonderful place. They should not be taking place in this. This year's list includes, let me ask you this, Unpack, Impactful, Nothing Burger, Tons, Dish, Drill Down, Let That Sink In, and the top vote getter, Fake News. Those, I hope you all understood and can see that those are the ones on the list, what I just mentioned. Not going to repeat them. The others are pre-owned, onboarding, offboarding, gig economy, and the redundant hot water heater. Also on the list is the triumphant Twitter typo, Kofefe. I like Kofefe with comment with Kofefe. I'm going to keep it going. While the list contains a little political flavor, Lake Superior State spokesperson, blah, 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 blah. Boys, is that enough? Shall I keep going?
No, that's fine.
I think we're fine. Do you want to go first on this one as I went first last time, Magic?
Why not, indeed. I think it's quite ironic, isn't it? They want to ban a word that was brought in by the establishment to try to take on the alternative media that effectively got us Brexit and Trump. And now it's been flipped back on them to prove what bullshitters and liars they are. They suddenly don't like the term that they invented. The great irony of their own doing. And I was just having a look, actually, at some of the comments in this story, and somebody's come up with a cracking idea, saying, how about banning more fake, made-up, overused words like white privilege or Russian collusion, or even better, misogynist? Then maybe the fake news media may not be so fake news.
The comments are actually way better than the story. I was just looking at them. It's funny you said that.
Yeah, but fuck it. It really does what's going to make me laugh. The way the the legacy media is doing everything they can to keep themselves relevant, and every time they do, they make themselves even more irrelevant. And it's the old rule of business, which is you adapt or die. And they were slow at the uptake, and people have become independent news these days. Going on YouTube, having your own channel, becoming an investigative reporter by doing it all yourself. I mean, someone like Tim Pool is a good example. I easily believe him any day over, say, our own BBC News, because because I know that what's called Tim actually seems to be someone who wants to tell the world what's really going on, rather than someone like the BBC who likes to inform us the way they believe we should be informed. And I don't like that. But, then I'm not a part of the establishment, and I'm not psychopathic, so I don't think like they do.
Well, I suppose if you do have anything else to add at all before I actually take over?
No, the perfect time, common sense.
That's fine, not a problem. My main thing is, I know that they have phrases in there, things like that, but let me ask you this, how is that redundant or general uselessness? How is that? I mean, I don't understand that. Same as unpack. What, I'm not going to unpack my clothes from my suitcase? Impactful? Exactly. You see what I'm trying to go with on this. It's like, impactful. Oh, that's not going to be impactful on my child if you tell them that they can't play with white people. Admittedly, nothing burger, yeah, fair enough. I don't really have too much of that. But tons? That's a weight. That's a weight that you would actually be using. Yes, that truck is over 3 tons. What am I going to put my food on? A dish? No, I'm not allowed to use a dish anymore. I have to use something completely else that I'm going to make up for some strange reason. I have no idea what drill down means, apart from maybe an oil as it's drilling downwards. I don't know, maybe. I really don't know on that one. But let that sink in. Just that's apparently not got any usefulness whatsoever. Let that sink in. Just as I'm doing now, to reiterate my point, let that sink in. You've got others as well that are pre-owned. What, you're not allowed to say that my t-shirt was pre-owned anymore? Or the car that I bought was pre-owned? Or pre-used? I don't understand that. I really, really don't understand how they can come up and say, these words are useless. It's like, well, do you not use these words in your everyday usage? Like that sink in or unpack? You know, when you travel to do this little bit of thing, did you not unpack your suitcase? Sorry, it's just these stupid things that come out. It makes me really annoyed simply because these are words that mostly are being used. Admittedly, maybe there's two of them that I wouldn't use myself, but there's definitely words in there that you goddamn use all the time. You really would. And that just makes no sense to me why you would actually try to ban words in the first place. That in itself to me just makes no goddamn sense. Why would you ban words, even if it is just a play on word or tongue in cheek or whatever? It's just, why would you ban words in the generalness? Because if you're going to do it as a tongue in cheek stuff, it's only a step forward. And so you can say to people, well, we've done this as tongue in cheek, but now we're actually going to do it for real. And because people have been used to it for a while, they'll just go along and bored with it for no reason.
Fuck. Oh, man. Oh no,
At least
carry
that's
on.
what
I'm
my
sorry.
opinion is.
No, that's so horrifying too when I hear that. And you know what? That's what they always say. Common sense. Damn it. Okay, so common sense guy, he's back there. He's got his woman, right? He's going on holiday to who knows where. He's going to some island. He's going to Fiji on holiday. He's got his woman there, and it's 5 years from now. He's made hundreds of thousands of dollars on YouTube. Now he's a very big celebrity, mind you. So he's going to Fiji with his woman. And then now he notices before him that everybody is feeling up the women on their boobies and they're getting the guys right on their packages to get on the plane. And when it comes his turn, he says, I don't really want you to, I don't want to be fondled right now. And oh, no. By the way, I did see how you were, fondling the women. No, I don't want you to fondle my woman. See, it's all getting out of hand. It really is, man. Really, really is. I don't know how else to say it. I could go on for days on that, so I won't. But you know what? I do trust you two. So that went so well. I'm just going to quiet down for a moment and see what happens.
Can I just make a suggestion there, Mr. Ogre, about the fondling of the women bit? I'm all for that as long as everybody's put a tenner into the super chat.
Yeah.
So if you all put a tenner in, you can fondle Mrs. Bollocks to your heart's content.
Then Mrs. Ogre also, I imagine, and she should be in here. Apparently, her and Magic Bollocks have something. I don't know what's going on with them. I mean, the woman. I've learned one thing. Of 24 years of marriage, I don't really ask her a lot of questions. So maybe I don't know, but she may be on air later tonight. If she is, and you enjoy her here, I say that you direct your thanks to Magic Bollocks because he apparently has some kind of in with Mrs. Ogre that I don't even know about, and they have been conspiring behind my back about what might be best for the show.
Oh dear.
Thanks, thank you so much.
I've already put in a proposal, and he's already turned it down twice.
No, and I'll continue myself. But I would also say that I'm only one vote. I'm only one vote. In life, it's good to be egalitarian. Isn't that what we are here, gentlemen? Are we egalitarian? Or do we only... Am. Yes, or do we just blow smoke and ash? And I believe you, common sense. You there, Magic Bollocks, I don't know, usurper. I'm going to mark you as the usurper for right now. We'll see. Well, I got my eye on you. With all that, the last broadcast. I mean, I'm not going to say it was bad for views. I mean, it was really good. It was good radio. But I got my eye on you, man, with your really weird sexual kinky shit in your head and all that stuff you were talking about. Make a daggone truck driver blush. Some of the shit you say.
I don't know what you're talking about, Mr. Ogre. All it is me just being a gentleman to the ladies.
What I realize is what it is I'm just bulldogging and everything else, and now it's time to go on to our next story.
I agree.
Well, I don't want to take a lot of time on this, but we had this Salem witch trial, so I'll do this instead of taking a lot of time. I'm gonna do the same thing, boys. I'm gonna read a little bit. I'm gonna kick it off to you lot. Don't matter that it's American news or whatever. You know what? Whatever. It doesn't really matter. I can listen to their news all day long. And I know no more about it than they do, vice versa. Our politicians are all a mystery. So what special counsel has offered publicly signals long year ahead in Russia probe. Now, mind you, folks, just 2 weeks ago, They were saying impeachment imminent and all this other stuff. So now this is ABC News also. This isn't InfoWars or anything like that. So the year of Donald Trump presidency, further Russian interference in American politics, and the special counsel investigation into it all. It comes to a close. There is a continued speculation about where Robert Mueller's sprawling probe now stands. In an interview with the New York Times published Tuesday, Trump insisted it has already been proven that there was no collusion between his associates and Russian operatives during the 2016 presidential campaign. However, the status of Mueller's probe has remained elusive, as so much of what his investigators are up to is done in secrecy and behind closed doors. One thing is clear: their work is far from finished, and it's going to stretch well into the new year. And boys, I could go on and on, but it's strange to me as a Yank how this keeps binging and bonging back and forth and dinging and donging and oh, they're gonna. I mean, what do you lot see in this? What do you lot see in this?
Well, I can tell you what I see in it: an absolute nothing burger. just to go with our previous story.
Yeah, I don't think we're supposed to say that.
Yeah, sorry, I'm being banned. But no, I mean, this story's been going on since when he first got elected in 2016, January 2016. This story's been going on more upbeat since then, January 2016, a whole year ago now. And they haven't found anything that has anything to do with any sort of form of conclusion or collusion. It's just funny. It's just they're looking for something to try and get rid of Trump, and it's just not happening. There's so many these fake news stories are coming out, and it's just, if there was any form of things, any sort of formal probe, the only thing that this probe has done has proved that Hillary Clinton has sold uranium to fucking Russia. So why isn't she being arrested for bloody terrorism, or what is it that you always like to say? I can't remember what it is. No, there's an actual term where she can actually still get shot. Same thing for us as well. If you ever go against the
treason,
that's the one. Why hasn't she been done for treason if she's selling stuff to the Russians, especially stuff like uranium, and which has been proven as well by this probe that was to do with Donald Trump? Why isn't that going forward? Why isn't that type of stuff going forward? Why is it the fact that they're just trying to get Donald Trump, and whatever they find out about other people, they just use them to try and get Donald Trump?
Well, I think you know the reason why, don't you? Common sense, and that's simply because he wasn't the right candidate to win, was he? He's not the one who's owned by all these special interests. Could you imagine what the press would be like now if Hillary had won? It would have been 12 months now of complete loving, wouldn't it, about how she's actually going to be the best president the Americans had ever had. And, you know, wasn't it great now that the glass ceiling had been truly shattered, now that this heroic lady had taken her rightful place, as leader of the free world. Plus, we'd also all be dead because we would have had the retaliation nukes from Russia by now.
I think it would have been slightly different. I think that she would have actually fired nuclear weapons, or at least weapons, to go across to North Korea. I don't think she would have handled it the same way as Donald Trump did, by making fun of him instead. I think that she would have took the threat as a serious threat and would have attacked, personally. But then again, that's just Hillary Clinton all over. After all, if she's ever threatened, what does she do? She goes out and attacks. She doesn't sit back. People have a way of disappearing.
Yeah, it's funny that, isn't it? Whatever happened to old Seth Rich? Nobody ever seemed to want to follow that story up in the mainstream, did they?
Can't think why.
No, I can't. Was he another one who accidentally shot himself in the back?
I think he was in an airplane.
Oh, okay. I know it's hard to keep track of all the people who've accidentally died. You know, like somebody cut their head off by shaving or amputated their arm, and various other incidents.
I actually left my beer in the other room. I mean, Seth Rich, Holly Seelger covers this a lot. No, I believe Common Sense knows. No, he wasn't in a plane. He was shot in the bloody back in a
neighborhood. I was playing on the fact that so many people disappear.
Look, if you look into the Clintons, and what people say is, oh, they know so many people. Well, why is it that if you look into the goings on of anyone else, you don't see 300 questionable deaths in the last 30 years? That's 100 a year. Questionable. It's where you look at them, it's like Seth Rich kind of deals.
Yep.
And that's the only ones we hear about. We don't hear about, I mean, oh man. What?
Well, if you don't mind, I'd like to bring a bit of my own father's logic into this for just a brief second. Don't worry, common sense. It's only for a second. Mrs. Bollocks actually upset him on Christmas Day because they were talking about him on the news, and he was basically grumbling about Trump, and she said, sorry, that well, what was so the alternative would have been so much better, would it? And his excuse was, well, she couldn't have been any worse. Yeah, you know the sort of people who only watch the mainstream media.
So she would have made 2 million new jobs. The stock market would look, man. That's so ridiculous. Our country's doing so great right now. The news just won't talk about it. Everyone here knows the well guy that I talked about on a video I did. The well guy, he made sure I knew when he gave me. I paid $700 for an $1,100 job because I paid cash and I'm a good barterer. Put a brand new deep well pump in. Did changed everything. He did a lot of work. I know what the job actually, like 3 years ago, I did it myself. So anyway, he made sure I knew that since Trump was president, his business is quadrupled. That's everybody around here, because all the factories that were closed around here, they've opened back up. Oh, it's coincidence, I'm sure. Sure, it's coincidence. I'm sure if Hillary Clinton was elected, that globalist piece of garbage shill, whom her husband, it was so much easier for her husband, for them. Because all they got to do is, get him a blow job. He'll sign anything, whatever. Give him a handy. Get him a little poon in the back room. You know what I mean? Give him a little handy, but a little reach around action. That's all he's got to get. And then Bill will do whatever. Now you've got, what's the difference? A little bit harder for Hillary. You give her power. You give her a feeling of authority. You put her in a place of power. That's what you do with her. A little bit more for her than for Billy, a little bit more than a cheap hooker that will blow him underneath. Man, I'm telling you, boys, it's hurting. What's going on? I think of the United States of America, and what's going on right now is the fourth estate, instead of doing their job, they're actively trying to hurt the country to make the president look bad. Because the country's not hurting right now.
But I think that's a different topic completely on that one. I think it's more of a case of the ideology of Donald Trump is... No, it's fine. We'll carry on. It's just that the ideology of Donald Trump is different to what Hillary is. If it was another form of Democrat, they wouldn't be too worried about it. If it was more of a left-leaning Republican, they wouldn't be too worried about it. It's the fact that with Donald Trump, it's a case of they're not going to carry on with the same processes of what the Democrats were. He's going to bring about more capitalism, not have more socialism or corporatism put into place. And that's the difference. The ideology is different. The fact that he's not going to blame just the right-hand side of politics. He's going to blame both sides of politics, like he did in Charlottesville, which I still don't understand why he was fucking moaned at for that one.
Man, me either.
It's just like, yes, I condemn everything. And yet he's still got moaned at.
Yep. And thoroughly. Look, I really need to shut up because I imagine Magic Bollocks. You're too polite, Magic Bollocks. You got to learn to do like, you'll get it. I won't even tell you what to do. You'll get it. Sometimes you just got to override me because I've already said my piece and then some.
Well, I quite like listening to you two riff. It's very, very interesting. That's why I don't jump in. And also because, you know, I have a certain level of knowledge on these sort of things, but common sense is definitely the more informed gentleman of the three. Not saying you're not, Mr. Ogre. You're very, very well informed, and of course,
don't believe that, my friend. Ogre knows more about that sort of issues than what I ever would.
Well, American politics, yes, I can bet. But,
that's okay. You don't need to be humble. Common sense. I was agreeing.
No, that was good. We had a three-way fellatio session going on there. We could.
Yeah, well, but you were right. You're right. I mean, and these things, because here's the issue for me. You can't look at something and make a decision if you're emotionally involved. You cannot do it. That's why you lot are so important to me. That's why I passed it off to you right away and try to stay out of this. It's so I can listen. Because if I don't listen to you, Magic Bollocks, if I don't listen to you, especially Commons, and with all due respect, Magic Bollocks, I just fucking mention you. If I don't listen to you, Common Sense, then it's like, how would I ever? You can't make a decision based on one thing. So if I didn't listen in and find these other viewpoints, I would never know what to do. That said, we're done. Unless someone absolutely puts the brakes on. It's New Year's Day, and we got a lot of we don't have to get through it, but we're going to move on.
I think the only thing I would say, Mr. Ogre, is that most people who don't subscribe to ideology and tend to be free-thinking individuals will not be somebody who will just come in and say automatically, I hate Donald Trump, I hate Brexit, or I hate populism. They will always be willing to discuss whatever the current situation is, and that's the way I approach it. And I know from having relatives who are ideologues that they just do not want to talk about it, because they know that if they do, they'll probably end up getting their beliefs countered. And that's why you'll find a lot of people who are ideologues on both left and the right do not want to discuss their beliefs because they know that they can be countered.
Amen. You got the last word on that. So which one of you boys wants to pick the next story?
It's Common Sense turn.
Yeah, okay then, no problem. Let's go with Some People You Just Can't.
Okay, got it. Racha says this. This is one of the ones that really gripped me. I didn't know if we get to it today, but I'm glad you picked this one, Common Sense Guy. So let me pull this up. Boys, don't be afraid to just say that you've said enough if I ever get to a point where you've heard enough of the story. So here we go. Oh, good Lord. I would give anything for a producer that would push all these buttons for me, but I don't have one. At least 12 dead in Iran, anti-government protests. 12 dead, folks. All this stuff we hear. I'm going to really do my best not to editorialize. This one goes to Common Sense Guy first when I'm done reading, and then to Magic Box. I really am. But please, let's think about this, folks. At least 12 dead in Iran anti-government protests. The latest protest comes after President called for calm and said the government would have no tolerance for violence. At least 12 people have been killed in anti-government demonstrations sweeping Iran, according to reports. The protests have drawn in tens of thousands of people across the nation for several days. The boldest challenge to Iran's leadership for years. State TV said 10 people were killed in the street protests in several cities on Sunday night. It gave no further details, but said more than 400 people had been arrested. Fresh demonstrations also broke out in the capital, Tehran, on Monday night. Local media showed burning cars, but reports on social media claimed it involved relatively small groups chanting anti-regime slogans. 2 other protests were also killed on Saturday in western town of Drod during an overnight rally, according to Governor of Lorestan Province. You see a little bit here. Looks just pretty much like Berkeley. I'll go on here, gentlemen, until y'all want me to stop. Poor said no shots fired by the police and security forces and
So how do people die?
And blame foreign agencies and enemies of the revolution. So that by that little bit in there. Let me read this one little bit from Trump here, and then I'll let you go. Common sense. I'm not even going to read all this. I'm just going to read Trump. Trump says, "What a year it's been, and we're just getting started together." Where I don't know. No, oh, here we go. Iran is falling at every level, despite the terrible deal made with them by the Obama administration. The great Iranian people have been repressed for many years. They are hungry for food and freedom, along with human rights. The wealth of Iran is being looted. Time for change. Common sense guy.
Yeah, it's amazing to me that, first of all, there's 12 people that have died, but state TV said that it's 10. And then to come out and said, oh, nobody was shot. What actually happened was foreign invaders have invaded us, come into our country, decided that they were going to shoot people, and we as the government cannot find them anymore, and they have left. Does anybody else believe that story? Because I sure don't.
No, I don't. I'm gonna wait. I read, so I've got my clock. Magic bollocks. 7 minutes. I'm saying nothing. You've got the brunt.
And I haven't really been following this story, so I don't really know that much about it. But I might assume that what is it the actual protesters are asking for? They just
the dissolvement of the Muslim government at this moment in time. They want a proper government rather than a forced dictatorship, a forced government, basically.
Right. Is this the government that
theocracy, sir? What they're protesting is that.
Yeah. And now this is the government that the Obama administration did the deal with, wasn't it?
And Jeremy Corbyn has been receiving money from them as well. Yes.
Really? Has he?
Yes. Now? Yes, he has.
Are they Sunnis or Shiites?
Oh, I think they're a mixture of both. I think they're more Shiites than Sunnis, though.
Okay.
I'm sorry that I will look that question up while you lads talk. Who is the Sunni or Shiite? Who are you asking?
I was just wondering what the what the actual regime
the people that would be fighting against the government in this case that we're speaking of right now, the ones that would be neither.
Yeah, they're more of Christian and Jewish and things like that. They're fighting against.
They would be against Christians, Jews, anything. They just want a secular government. They want a non-religious government. So the Sunnis would disagree with them. The Shiites would disagree with them. Everybody.
Sunnis wouldn't. The Sunnis wouldn't. The Sunnis only believe in the practice of a religion. The Shiites are the ones that believe in the integration of the religion and state.
And you're right, because that was Saddam Hussein. No, I just said 7 minutes, so I'm going to go back quiet and say this. It is a religious thing, Magic Bollocks, but think of it more of a religio-political thing. These people are fighting against the government that is there.
Again, going back slightly to what we said before, I should imagine if we had President Clinton, that these rioters would never have been able to get so far as taking on the to protesting, because I'm sure that they probably all would have been shot by now. The very fact that Trump is not officially, but quietly supporting the protesters tells you all you really need to know. That regime is obviously a regime that is able to afford influence in the West to leave it alone. I don't imagine the deal that was done with the Obama administration was not so much a deal as more of a bribe.
Kind of. Do you remember what the deal was for the Iranians?
Not off the top of my head.
I tell you, it's something to do with nuclear capabilities.
Of course. Always best way of buying influence in the West is to
within
trade
like
arms.
8 years. Within like 8 years too, man. And they give him so much money too, Magic Bollocks. And I know Common Sense Guy knows this, so I'm just gonna pretend that I'm him and say this. The reason they gave him there was so much money involved. I believe it was 40 billion, Common Sense Guy, or was it 4 billion? Whatever it was, it took 2 planes big airliners full of cash to deliver that. And that was not even that was the cash money they gave them. That was only, I believe, 5 or 10% of the money. The rest of it just came, and you know how it is when countries work. Well, we think they're like, oh, we just gave X amount of billions of dollars. England gives, UK gives 8 billion. You know as well as I do, they didn't give 8 billion pounds to anybody. They gave steel and they gave commodities. So anyway,
No,
this stinks. This whole thing we're talking about stinks, boys. I hope you can smell it.
Yeah. That's the whole thing with the the Middle East's money buying influence in the West. I mean, a mate of mine at work was telling me his son teaches in academia now. Don't worry, we're not going down the communist route here. I think he teaches economics, and the first question he asks new students is, which country in the world per GDP capita spends the most on the military?
USA, without doubt.
That's exactly what I said, but apparently, no, that's not true. And I tried to think of several other answers of other countries in the world. Do you know where it actually is?
I imagine it might be Saudi Arabia.
Correct answer. Now, this is very interesting for a country that, as far as I'm aware, is not technically in conflict with anybody at the moment.
The tricky question was per capita. And you got to remember that since they're not in conflict with anybody, and since they're so wealthy and really don't have a military of their own, all of that money is being paid to you, to the Royal Marines and us and whoever else.
Well, it makes you realize why in the West all this stuff about Islamophobia and us bowing to the religion of peace, it has grown over the last sort of 30 years because of the amount of money that's coming from that direction. I wonder how much of London is owned by the UAE now, because I mean, there's been documentaries on telly over here where you've had like Saudi royal family members who come over to those really, really expensive hotels in central London and will run up a bill of like £750,000 in like 4 or 5 days stay in there, and they have to have the rooms constructed to exactly the way they want them to be. And you can't tell me that sort of money isn't buying influence over here, so that people like our dear London mayor can get away with spouting the shit that he does without other people saying, do we really want somebody who's associated with that rotten ideology in charge of our capital? You wouldn't dare say it. Not now. And that's exactly what influence can buy for you.
Mm-hmm. No, I kind of agree with you to the point of saying, well, I think it's a case that Saudi Arabia are buying people. I don't think they're buying influence in the places or buying places, so to speak.
Well, you know what I mean? They're buying off the right people, so their influence can be, influential, shall we say?
Yeah, no, I understand what you meant.
Yeah.
I definitely understand what you meant. It's just a case of, as you said before, you've got people like Sadiq Khan and you've got other people that are obviously in that place. I mean, you've got council members now. I did a video on this, and I'm sure other people will be able to remember. I'm not going to allude to myself too much. I'll just give the premise of the video. Basically, this a female council member in Birmingham has stated that ISIS isn't real. And this is the most funniest thing. The school that she works for as a governor is going to investigate her conduct. And if it's allowed to be going on at the school, the council that she works at, the council that is controlled by Labour and her party Labour, have said that they're not going to do anything.
Yep.
They're not going to investigate. They're not going to do anything. And that in itself tells you that money must be going into that type of people, as you just said, for things like that are not being produced. But yet, if you were to put a bit of bacon around the mosque or something like that, you'd go to prison for about 4 to 5 years, or possibly longer.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you're like bloody Count Dankula, you are worrying about bloody going to prison because you made your dog do a particular trick that's offensive to certain people.
Yeah.
Now, people will say, "Oh, well, that's different. That's to do with the Jews and things like that." Do you not think that offence is obviously given? I mean, offence is obviously taken; it's not given. But if you classify that as offensive, you can then classify the same for any other religion as well. It's a case of setting a precedent, and that's the problem. And that's what you just said is what they're trying to buy influence in.
It is. It's
Going
such
back,
a sorry. It's such a mixed up situation now, isn't it? Because it's hard to differentiate between where influence is being bought and where ideology is coming into it. Because, like you said, with that council in Birmingham, yes, I agree that it's definitely them buying influence, but also a lot of that will be the ideologues that are currently in that council. Some of them will be bought off, of course, and have no ideology and don't give a shit. All they're cared about is lying in their pockets. But there will always be that other problem, like the momentum mob, who are not really bought off. They're just stupid ideologues, far left communists. You could give them all the money in the world to vote Tory, and they never do it because their ideology is so strong. And that's the real poison we've got in the West at the moment, isn't it? The mixture of these two.
Well, I can go back a little bit further and prove to you, obviously, that it's not just a case of ideologues and things like that. The Rotherham and Sheffield sex scandals and the Newcastle sex scandals, obviously, the sex gangs that were going around doing stuff to white children and things like that. They knew about it for ages and ages. It was proven that they knew about it. They were told about it about 2 years before it was even investigated properly. You can't tell me that that wasn't swept under the carpet when people were going to their council members and to the police and things like that. It was obviously swept under the carpet. That's not an ideological point of view. That's people paying money.
Yeah, you could well be right. And I mean, is that people not wanting to stick their head above the parapet for fear of losing their livelihoods? Or do you just think it is generally people being paid off?
Well, think about it from a logical point of view. If you were going to the police and the police are supposed to be doing an investigation, how can you lose your job from doing an investigation when it's your job to investigate? That statement in itself would make no sense. I'm not saying the process that you've gone through makes no sense, but the statement makes no sense. You're a police officer. You've obviously need to investigate. But if somebody gives you money to not investigate, how can somebody then say you haven't done your job properly? It just says, well, I didn't know that was going on, so I didn't investigate. Or I didn't have enough evidence.
Yeah, I quite agree. I honestly wish I could, give a solid answer to what I think it is. I mean, yeah, definitely council members, especially council leaders, don't want to rock the boat, especially the Labour ones, because a very high percentage of the accused are probably their big voting base as well, aren't they?
Not necessarily. I mean, I believe in the whole of the UK, the Asian population, which includes Pakistanis, Indians, and some of the people from the Middle East, I believe only makes up around about 7 to 9%, depending on what county you are. But I believe it's 7 to 8% in total of our whole population.
But I imagine in some places like Rotherham, because I know Luton's got a very high percentage, about 22 or 23%.
Yes, indeed. Yes, enough to change the culture around there. Yeah.
Exactly, and everybody wonders why Tommy Robinson became the person he did. But
man, what a guy too. What a guy. I hate to interject.
No,
I really, and he gets a lot of flack. Oh man, what a guy. I wish I had, if I only had just a portion of the balls he has, just a tiny fraction of the chutzpah. I would own this town.
He's an interesting character. I mean, some of the videos I've seen him in, he's obviously not perfect. He's got his flaws, but it's fascinating when he actually tries to talk to ideologues. He was at some march. I think it was was it Unite Against Fascism, isn't it? UAF march. And again, the ironic thing is all of them were all white and all upper middle class types. And he was trying to interview a few of them, and they were saying, "I don't talk to bigots" and all this bollocks. And then he managed to get this old fella, and he was saying about, "Oh, you're a bigot and a racist, you are, Tommy." And he said, "I'm not. I'm just trying to highlight some of the cultural problems we got in this country. And he says, well, what do you think I'm trying to do today? He said, well, what are you here to do? He said, I'm here to fight inequalities like sexism. He said, what, like the little girls being raped by Muslim gangs? And he just went, oh, I'm not talking to you, you're a bigot, and walked off.
So in other words, it's better to be not looked at as a bigot and to allow your daughters from your mother country to be buggered. Oh, that's a good thing, right? It's okay. I mean, and look, as long as we don't offend I don't want to go there, man. I want to get this taken down, boys. Okay, and I'm not going to censor this. I will never censor this. But Common Sense Guy knows where I'm going right now, because he knows me all too well. And if I was to keep going for another 2 or 3 sentences, I would hear and it'd be comment. You're right, and it'd be him telling me, "Hey, look, we all agree with you, but shut the fuck up, because we don't want the hand of Allah to come down on us." The hand of Allah that allows rape to be okay.
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, I just said before. Sorry, just to.
No, carry, mate.
When I was doing the videos, as you well know, as you've watched them many a times. Well, not many a times, but you've watched the rape gang videos that I've done, and on the actual points, people and politicians have come out and actually said that the reason why they didn't investigate is because they didn't want to be called racist. That was one of the main reasons why they didn't want to come out and actually investigate what was going on. And this is on my videos and actually recorded by politicians. I believe even David Davis has come out and said, well, it's a possibility that this could actually have happened. That's the reason why we didn't do it. So I actually have that on my videos of that point. I just said, it's just interesting to me that you've got these people that are producing all this money and things like that. I mentioned about the think tank as well before. There was a think tank that actually come out of their way, from government think tank, that was actually going out of its way to disprove the figures for the actual rape gangs, and then actually come out and actually prove the figures are actually wrong, but not in the way that they actually thought. Out of all the rape gangs that have been accumulated around in the actual country, 87% of those members were of Asian descent. 87% out of a percentage of our population is only 7%.
Now, why does that matter? If you could, I mean, why does it? Who cares?
Because it shows you the point of actually that 87% of the people that were doing these gangs and integrating with different people and integrating between gang and gang, is that it's a form of culture. It's a correlation that people that tend to have these ideas come from a particular culture and a particular background. Now, I'm not saying that rape is
fluster you, but I thought it would fluster you too. But you said it, man. Culture. Well, you can't blame. I mean, because what people will do when you speak this truth, you're talking right now, common sense. People will say, racist, bigot, xenophobe. Hang him. Take his job from him. And what you're going into, you got to be very careful. You're not Jordan Peterson, common sense.
I know.
Whether you like it or not, what you're doing now, people will go back and look at. And you're very intelligent. I love all your banter. But you have to. I mean, you know what I mean. You got to weigh it in the balance.
Yep.
God save us. I can't believe I even said that. I really can't, because all this idea. I just watched this beautiful thing about censorship, man. But you know what? I'm not. I hate it. I'm just going to say this very quickly. No, there's a couple wrenches out there now, and no other ones will be given out unless it's absolutely needed. There's reasons why. We also won't be, and Magic Bollocks, maybe, I'm putting him on the spot, folks. We have not talked about this. If he chooses to talk about this, it's up to him. But Magic Bollocks, maybe you'll speak to this.
Hi. Sorry about that.
No worries. I seen you right there and gone. But here we go. Let me get my mind right. Not only does everyone not have a spanner, but we will no longer be endorsing other channels in other live streams. Magic Box, before I go off on why I say we're not going to do that, would you please explain to everyone here why we won't do that, in the near future?
Why we won't?
Yeah, why we're not going to be sitting here like shilling for other. I mean, and I know I'm putting you on the spot. I know you are. I know I am.
No, I can answer that very easily.
Yeah, please, sir, please.
Yeah, because we're the best.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Why would you want to go anywhere else? That's the big question I put to you in the chat.
Cheers.
If you can come up with a better, answer, by all means give it. But I know I'm right, so try, but you will fail.
So why would we shill for other folks?
I'll take that little question up quite easily right now. I know you're doing a promotion, but I'll take that question up. If you want to hear what Christy Winter's or Kevin Logan's point of view are, there is no better point than looking at them from their own horse's mouth.
Yes. Yeah, and that's it, boys. I mean, I'm telling you, I was watching that. I'm not going to mention him again because I said it a couple times. I was watching a guy today, and nothing in his he's just a stone cold hearted son of a bitch. And I don't want to be a stone cold hearted son of a bitch now, but there is the common sense guy. There's Magic Bollocks. And with all due respect, please, with all due respect, there's the rest of you all. We love you all. We do. In fact, we would go so far as to say, without you, there is no us. It's just like three dudes talking on an international Skype. You know what I mean? So you are, in fact, you're the most important thing. But how could we make that thing even more important? Without, and I say, boys, look, I want to let them in on this a little bit if I can, gentlemen. And common sense guy will be the first to stop us if I'm going too crazy. But I led you on, so I'm going to. How do we do that? Well, one of the ways is you don't sit there and go on and on. And I'm watching. I just did a video, gentlemen, about Bass Mama, and then I posted it on Discord. I did man. There was a time when I was talking about, oh, go watch Bass Mama. She's solid and all this, and it was like, oh, good God, have mercy. I'm just holding my head. And there was time I could name some other ones. There was times where I was like, oh, go. I'm not going to go hither and yon. Because I did that video, I just mentioned that name, and I was very generous and kind. I'm not a drama bitch. I'm just saying that if I endorse someone today that's not here, gentlemen, this is what I'm trying to say. And I don't care. I really don't even want to go into any more news. We got very little time left. That means about 35, 40 minutes. So if I endorse someone today, how do I unendorse them? I'm looking at videos I did. I just said it. I'm not going to go through the whole litany. Go look at my old catalog, though, and you'll see some cool music. You'll see some cool old videos, and you'll see me endorsing a lot of these jackasses I'm trying not to mention right now. And that is why. Because as Magic Bollocks has already mentioned, I'm going to say that if you want to come, not necessarily today, give us a fucking break. It's motherfucking New Year's Day. I have had a couple pints, and I'm supposed to be on the wagon. I haven't had any meat. I was on it. I don't even go. Boys, you already know that. Anybody that follows us knows what I'm going to say, so I'm not going to waste time. Look, we're not going to endorse other people. We're not going to have a free-for-all. There's going to be rules, damn it. All right, now you take over, Common and explain what I was just trying to say.
Basically, what we're trying to say is that we want to make our channel, make this show a lot, not necessarily better, but we want it more streamlined.
He said, no, because God knows, Common says, please, and I'm going to shut up really hardcore now. No, ours. That's why, I wouldn't even have done a fucking video one, dude. I love live streams, but it's like, Magic Bollocks was saying, we all got to pull our weight. He was telling me the other day, Magic Bollocks and I was talking, he was like, look, Ogre, you're all right. You got a pretty cool looking beard and your American accent is okay. But my countrymen think you're a lazy fat bastard. And you don't ever put up a video. Never, nothing. And he was telling me, he's like, if you don't work over here, those English people look at you. This is Magic Bollocks telling me this the other day. He said, us English people look at you and we see just a fat, lazy piece of shit because you don't do anything. And I was like, well, fuck, maybe I should try to make it better.
What you've done there is basically told them how I got this job. Was I belittled you to fuck, and it worked.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
You don't want to know what I said to common sense. Oh, it's unrepeatable.
I'm weeping. Oh, but we want to bring something that's the best. And I think it was said, because again, we're not going back to the news. So we got a little bit of time here too, boys. So what I want to do is I want to say this. I'm not going to end it this time. I'm going to be the vulnerable person. I'm going to start this, lads. And I'm going to do, what do you call it? Hang on a second. Just bear with me, boys. Bear with me. We got time. Bear with me. I want to do a breakfast club. Okay? We're going to do a breakfast club right here. I am going to tell you why I deserve to be here. I swear to goodness, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna tell you why I deserve to be here on my word, and I'm gonna try to make it succinct and honest. Look, you lot. No, can I start again? Can I get a mulligan? Okay, so we all get a mulligan as long as you take it the first 5 seconds. Hang on a second. Let me get a mulligan.
We'll edit this bit out in the video.
No, it's staying in. We don't censor.
No, this is up. Yeah, this is up. So, hang on. Well, in the end, what I try to do is I do my best to bring a certain character to you, a perspective, if you will, but more than a perspective, something, man, it drills deeper than perspective can even go. I go to the depths of humanity. I want to be the human being that's there on your shoulder, not necessarily representing that little, impish devil with the horns, not that necessarily. But if that's what it takes to motivate you to think about the alternatives, that's what I want to be. That's what I want to do. In this new year, on this channel and this place, I want to put aside old grudges, old ideas, old norms, old mores. I want to create a new zeitgeist here with my brethren. Why? Because I chose 2 Englishmen. That's my stance. I take no credit for anything they say, it good or ill. I want to make that very clear because most of the shit they say is fucking crazy. But I take no credit for what they say, good or ill. But I take credit for picking these people. And I've been through hell, folks. So my apologia that I make, my reason for being here is I've been doing this for going on 10 months, and you lots here, this is New Year's Day, and you 16 are here. And you lot that watch it later, you folks that are listening, you people that are waiting for Common Sense Guy's dulcet tones, you folks that are just cannot wait. You're there driving your truck, you're loading something up with your forklift, you're inventorying, you're doing your mundane task, and you can't wait until Magic Bollocks says the most ridiculous, inhumane, unbelievably socially unacceptable thing. We're here for you, and I take full credit for it. That's mine. That's it. All right, boys. Good luck. Happy New Year.
Well, are we trying to now tell everybody why we should be here?
Yeah, it's Breakfast Club. It's Breakfast Club. I said that. It's Breakfast Club. You know what else it is? It's a chance to play any character that you would like to. That was my dipshit character. That was my should be fired and shot in the face character.
Well, I'm just going to give my own character on this one. I suppose the reason why I should be here, if I would be so bold, is to say simple and down-to-earth points of view, really. Just what everybody else is really thinking. That's what my goal of my whole channel and what I think that this should be. The fact that I honestly do feel that these opinions, even if they may be as out there as what Ogre sometimes go when he goes down conspiracy theory road or whatever, or if it's to the point of when Magic Bollocks comes out and just calls everybody stupid names, it's still an opinion. Those are the opinions that we have to respect. Where nowadays we don't actually respect those opinions, and on this channel, whoever we bring on, whether they be a white supremacist or whether they be somebody who's been raped or whatever, if we bring them the type of people on, we're going to give them the respect that they deserve to be able to talk to them, find out what their opinions are, counteract their opinions in a civil discourse, and then be able to express what our opinions are without destroying the whole world, so to speak. Because that's what this channel is for being able to express our opinions without trying to go against the whole world. Now, we know ourselves that we might not necessarily change the world, but if we can change 15, 16, 20, 100 people's views just a little bit, then we're doing our part. And that's why I love this channel, and that's why I'm a part of this channel, because we do not endorse echo chambers. We endorse open dialogue, and we talk about the hard stuff, because that's what needs to be talked about. Over to you, Magic.
I think I can sum it up in 3 words, and I've got to see if I can get this right. Hang on. Best live stream ever. I don't think I need to put it any better than that. If you don't think that we are 3 of the best people to listen to on YouTube at the moment, then you've either just had a part of your brain removed or you are clinically stupid. And I'm glad to see it. There's at least 15 to 25 people who come to listen to us every week, and you are the smartest people out there at the moment. So you need to go out there and tell everybody else who is dumb of their own choosing or medically induced that stop being dumb, come and listen to this channel. We're on 3 times a week, and we talk about the most interesting and exciting topics you could possibly find. And I can't really sell it more than that, because it
that's perfect. Common sense guy.
Yep.
We got somebody who came here. You could probably interview him. I recognize him, and I know I shot this link out. It's New Year's Day, so new person. You have to. I mean, you don't have to. You could leave, but Common Sense Guy is kind of like he's the, for more or less, better way to say he's kind of the bouncer here. So you tell him who you are and then why you're here, and then we move on from there.
Well, this is Memes of Destruction. I had heard you were talking about white supremacists, and I'm a white dragon, so...
You know what? I feel so stupid, Memes. Are you even on... You're not... Are you on Twitter, or did you just troll me real hard on Twitter?
Did I troll you? I just don't use Twitter that much.
Okay, all right. Well, that's cool.
It doesn't really look like
I'm looking. I almost want to show him this, but I'm not going to, because I'm not going to just put this person out. I'm going to look up their name. What is your name on Twitter? It's
Memes
not
of Destruction.
Okay, it does. It's nothing to do with dragon, because it's an androgynous dragon. And I felt bad, because I mean, I'm not going to share all of everything, but I was like, is this, because the thing that you, all right, look, anyway, the bouncer's there. I'm talking too much. He's going to kick me out. I told you. So hi, Memes of Destruction. Good that you're here.
So how can I help you, sir?
Well, I don't know. Bullocks just said to jump on. Ogre threw out that link there, and just figured you guys were doing a little breakfast chat. So how we all doing?
Hello.
All right.
Very good. We're explaining to the world, since you joined us, and look, you're just, if I may, Common Sense, since you just joined us, we all just explained Breakfast Club style, if you know that movie, you know, why we were here and should be here. And I don't want you to explain why you should be on this stream, but why should you be alive right now? What is your reason for existence? Why should you just not die and make room for someone else? What is it that you do for the world? We'd love to know it.
That's a great question. I couldn't really say there's any reason for me to be here, but hey, it's the beginning of a new year. It's a fresh start for us all. So let's do all the best we can and make this a better world.
How would you make the world better?
I think Professor Peterson said it best. Start by just telling the truth.
All right,
Helping the person that you would normally help.
I'm really overwhelmed. There's another new person here. You already heard my preamble. I'm going black. You're in control. Common sense guy's in charge. He'll kick you the fuck out. Don't fuck up.
Right, okay. I don't even have a clue what we're going to be talking about. Fair enough.
Oh, so, it was the same question to everybody, I guess, but whatever you want to do, Common Sense, I'm still here. It's New Year's Day. We're glad y'all are here. Common Sense.
No worries. Well,
yeah, think of it like an orgy, Common Sense. You know, the more the merrier.
Yeah, I'm leaving then. I don't like sharing.
Oh, you're selfish. Go on,
I thought you were an egalitarian.
No, but look, as far as this, if I
mean, I need to share.
Just for one quick second, and please, God, Common Sense, you got the bollocks. So there's a new guy, Joe, here, but you were saying, and it was very eloquent. So we're going to keep going on this same vein. I mean, and it's because this is before we go on this and it seems bad or seems like a bad thing. No, this is a chance for all of us. I just did it. I did it in character, but I was being honest. This is a chance for all of us to tell the world, even if the world isn't listening, why we matter in this new year. Why, what we do, what is it that no one gives a shit about? What is it that you do that no one cares about? And if it's a bitch fest, y'all can kiss my Jew ass.
Well, I think that's your cue then, Joe. Hello?
Well, yeah, Joe, or memes was still actually kind of going. And if Joe don't speak up, fuck, he can just, memes was actually, I kind of cut him off.
Well, in the pursuance of minimizing dead air while Joe gets his mic going there. No, but basically just try to be a better person. And we all say that all the time. But what does that actually mean? For me, that means when you see somebody, you see a little old lady trying to cross the street. If you got time and stuff, give her a hand. You see somebody that's leaving the supermarket, all of a sudden one of their bags breaks and stuff. If you got a minute or two to help somebody out, those little things make a difference. And you know what? Let's flip it around, because we hear all these things about microaggressions and everything there. To be fair, there is something to that. But how about rather than microaggressions, we do micro positivities or something along the lines of that? Just a little something that you can do when you're thinking the world is the most horrific place in the world, everything's crashing down. You know what? Plenty of the people feel that every single day. And if you can do something so small that costs you so very little, it's just a small kindness is a very small investment, and it can have a very positive change on someone's life.
Damn. Yeah, that was going to be a tough act to follow right there. I almost feel like I should. I used to preach with a couple dudes, man. That just reminded me of some old times. So I'm just going to say this. Welcome, everybody. Common Sense guy.
Yeah, well, if Jojo wants to carry on, then that's fine. Has he got his mic working?
And if not, we're not gonna. Oh man, I can smell the onions. But we're gonna go. This is gonna go until Common Sense guy says it stops, because he's got a life, he's got a brain, and we're so you know what? We're so happy. I'm looking at this Common Sense guy, and man, look at Nate. There's still there's 15 lads here and lasses just watching us and listening to us, and this means so much to me. But that I'll tell you what, on the other tip, memes of destruction, you know what? If we live in a world where each one of us tries our damnedest, and I'm just giving Joe some time also, so if you get in here, do just say yes, and Common Sense guy will tell me to be quiet, you carry on. If we live in a world where each one of us, if we do our level best to actually not just listen to what you just said, man, not just hear what the idea. Okay, look, I want to be safe and happy, and I want to have heat in my house, and I want food, and I want everybody to be at world peace. It's not that. It's beyond. It's deeper than the beauty pageant winner saying world peace. When I hear a gentleman, And it's not just your wonderful radio sounding voice, but when I hear someone, it's if we could all just pull a little bit in this new year, if we could leave off the ideas. Yeah, Joe.
Sorry, guys.
We can hear you.
Yeah, go ahead, Joe.
Go ahead, Yoger. I don't want to interrupt you. You're on a roll, buddy.
You weren't interrupting me, dude. I was filibustering until you got here. Crack.
Oh, wonderful, guys. Sorry about the delay, man. My Skype setup was taking over my audio interface. Great show, man.
No worries.
I've been working all day, and I thought I'd, tune in and see what was going on, and I appreciate the link. That's cool. Everything I do is all for the positivity of the people that are around me. I run my own business, and that's important. If I walk in with a sour face or feeling like, life's hard, even though it is a lot of times, then the people around me take on the same attitude. And it can affect the way they perform. It can it could affect the whole outcome of what we try to create, which is always a positive experience for the folks we take care of.
So, Joe, can I just ask you real quick, what happens on the days where you get up like it's like the worst day in the world, whatever it may have been, like it seems like the world's crashing down on you? How do you handle that with yourself as well as the folks that are working for and with you?
Well, I have a routine that I do every morning that helps me get my mind right. And the first thing I do, other than, the basic needs, shit, shower, shave, I sit in a quiet spot. I like to think about what I'm grateful for every single day. Like everybody, I have a cross to bear. I have a very difficult time walking. I have some, my left leg's fake. And so I have to take a couple extra things have to happen in my life before I'm ready to run out the door, so to speak. And that can weigh on me. And I can start feeling like some pity party stuff, like why me, just your typical run of the mill. Everybody has something. And I hurt, my bones are broken, shit doesn't feel good. And if I don't sit in a spot, my spot, and think about what I'm grateful for, grateful that I have medical professionals that have taken such good care of me, I wouldn't have anything. I'd be 6 feet under pushing daisies. And got a fucking hot wife. She's beautiful. She takes good care of me. I have a roof. I have money. I really do have the life of Riley. And those are the things I think about. And of course, what difference I can make in the lives of the people that come to me for my expertise.
Dude, that's powerful stuff, man. And it's it's one of those things you always got to reflect in. And maybe I'm prying a bit too much there, but you were talking about your leg. If you don't mind me asking, has your leg always been in that condition, or is that something that's happened more recently in your life?
A few years ago. Well, God, actually, it's a little longer than that. But I sustained some injuries working for a federal law enforcement, and that kind of set me back. And then woke up one day with a disease that I was trying to run 2 miles. That's what I did every morning back then, about 9 years ago, and couldn't quite finish. I mean, I didn't feel right. It was weird. It wasn't like running, like Usain Bolt, man. I was jogging, like basically running as slow as a walk.
Yeah.
And, didn't feel right. Didn't even have a doctor. In fact, I'd never been to the doctor. And other than for an injury, never for a sickness. And I had something called systemic lupus just turn on out of nowhere. And it essentially, the short of it is my immune system turned against me, and it started eating my bones almost like bone cancer would.
Gotta love that lupus.
Yeah, it was a trip.
Oh, that's rough, man. But they caught it and everything, and you were able to get treatment.
Oh yeah, I went to U of M actually. He had a nice helicopter ride there after a couple weeks stay at a local hospital. They couldn't figure it out. Lupus is a weird thing, man. It's a kind of disease that it can present itself like something like, oh shit, man, this guy looks like he's having a heart attack. And then they treat you for a heart attack and you end up dying from lupus because you don't have a heart problem.
Dude, that's one of the tough things. Yeah, dude, we
Yeah.
spend so much time like treating different symptoms and everything, whereas so often we end up just missing the actual cause, the actual root disease.
Yeah, exactly. And you bring up root disease, and hey, cut me off at any time. As, I have
Carry on.
Interesting
Interesting conversation.
Yeah, the disease.
Yeah, this is fucking riveting.
As dis-ease, you brought up something earlier about, what do you do to get your mind right? How do you stay, hold on to something positive? And dis-ease isn't just a physical state, just strictly my opinion. It also can be a medical, a mental state or a spiritual state. You can be physically perfect, but spiritually a little bankrupt and feel pretty empty.
I agree 100%.
Sure. And that can compound sometimes. And
So how is this? And if I remember right, we're all supposed to be saying why we deserve to be here. So and Mrs. Ogre has told me, let me turn this on because I don't think anybody can see Mrs. Ogre right now. So what you're telling me at this point is that because you have lupus, that's it.
no, why do I deserve it? Because everything I do is great, Ogre.
Okay, that's better. Now, okay.
Yeah, I thought
I think you had popped out. I think you had popped out right as he was explaining. But essentially, the question was, he was giving a little background on himself. I asked him, how does he keep his head together and stuff, because he has his own business and everything, and how basically on his worst of worst days does he go in there and project a positivity? Like, how does he keep himself together? And that's how kind of this discussion evolved.
And then we got the routine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the routine. Hi, Mrs. Ogre. You're looking beautiful as ever.
Yeah, fuck you, faggot.
Yeah. Hands off.
No, you're fine. You're all right, Mr. Boggs. Apparently, Mrs. Ogre, Mr. Boggs, they got apparently something going on that I'm not fully aware of. It. Whatever it may be, Lord, far be it from me from getting involved.
No, it's all right. I can see you're blushing already.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and no awkward pause. So we were saying why we deserve to be alive, Mrs. Ogre. Why do you deserve to be alive?
Why do I deserve to be alive? Wow, that's a tough one.
Who else is going to take care of you?
Right, yeah, because I got to take care of you, baby.
No, I mean, honestly.
Because God put me on this earth. I don't know.
All right, well, carry on. That was very vague.
Because I save lives. That's why.
Oh,
That's
you do?
better. That's better.
Yeah, that's much better.
Yeah.
So you have a job that you're
That's
important.
right. Yes.
People would die without you being alive.
That's right.
Oh, yeah, no, that's good. I would say I already said my part, so that's all I'm asking too. I don't care if you got lupus or if, like Mrs. Ogre, you're a prude, or if like Mr. Bollocks, you're some kind of flamboyant asshole that wants to hump every chick in your vicinity. It doesn't matter to me. It's like, what?
Whoa, hang on a minute. That only applies to one.
Yeah, well, the one in your vicinity.
No, that's old hat. That's boring. I'm concentrating on what I can see on the screen at the moment.
You filthy, filthy pig.
Two beautiful human beings and a beautiful dog, and 40 ounce says hi to your dog, Ogre.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Mary Moss and all y'all, Mary Yule. I guess we'll go on. I really need to. We got some time though, but what it is now, Common Sense guy, is we have 30 minutes. So
at most. Otherwise, we miss our target.
Yeah, we missed it now. We just missed it. It just went from 2 hours is right now. We actually got, like, if we want to go in 2 hours, we got 3 minutes. 4
Well,
minutes.
we're not going to go at 2 hours. We won't do that for today. As you said, it's a New Year's stream. Though I would like to move the conversation on into.
Please, God, please save this shit.
Because obviously everybody's talking about like their different routines and how they want to help people in their different ways and things like that. Do people honestly feel that if you help that old lady on the street corner, or if you help that mother that's dropped her shopping on the floor and things like that, do you think that that will translate to the rest of the world, or do you think that that would only help in their community?
I think it's a combination of, yes, at that moment, you're doing a small kindness for another person, but let's face it, it also makes you feel good. And that uh, generating of positivity there, I do believe it continues to go on because I've had several situations in my life where I've been extremely down. I'm like, the world hates me, everything's crashing down. And all of a sudden, just unprovoked, a single kindness, it can help bring you back from the brink, man.
Yeah, that's fine on a. That's what I was trying to get at. It's like that's good for a personal level, but does that help on a political or ideological point of view? I mean, obviously, most of the time we try to talk about psychology and the sociology of politics. So, as you were saying before, it helps you as an individual and it helps the individual you're helping. Do you feel that those individual changes can broaden out to help the rest of the world?
I think if 51% of people in the world act to 2% nicer to everyone else, yes, I think there would be major change.
It's a very, very good idea. I mean, what about all the charities that are set up and everything else like that? Do you feel that there is not enough that people are actually doing in general, or do you think more people need to take their own personal responsibilities to help them, or do you think people are just tied up in their own world, so to speak?
Oh, it's a combination of all of the brother. It's just many systems, whether it's government, whether it's a lot of these charities and stuff, there is, I feel, a certain reform that needs to be had and stuff, because I believe that pretty much any institution, no matter how good it's initially set up as, let's face it, as you grow and you get power, you have folks on the top there that have a 30,000-foot view down on everything, and they may have the best and most noble of intentions in the world, but they get lost in translation and layers and layers of bureaucracy and management. And it's just, I think we need to acknowledge that in order to improve.
How would you acknowledge that, though? Because obviously, if a person is building up their business and everything else like that, then as JJ said earlier, you're going to have the positivity of knowing that you're a representative of your company and everything else like that. So surely that they would understand what's going on, but how would you get them to actually, so to speak, reintegrate or reevaluate everything?
It takes the people, man. I mean, I know this is going to sound very extreme left wing and stuff like that, but basically, you need the folks. Yeah, no, dude, you need the folks to speak up, but not in the off with their heads type of mentality. Not stuff like that. Just kick the bums out and let's reform. Let's just take the means of production for ourselves. No, you do it via the system we have. Exactly, Mrs. Olga. No, that's how we all feel at one point or another. But you're not going to have anything noble or good that you can truly sprout from that. So you need to work within the system. Sometimes you need to get creative, and to harken back to something from my old World of Warcraft days, we called it creative use of game mechanics.
That's a fair point. I would just like to ask, if you're going to try and work up the system so you can help the person that's at the top, so to speak, does that not necessarily mean that you're going to lose yourself that's in the system because you have to work up the system to get to where you want to be?
There are certain, like, I'll give you an example. While in school, I did study management, and what they taught us in management is if there's a particular issue that you're dealing with, you're supposed to go to your supervisor. If your supervisor is involved, then you're allowed to go up one step, and you continue going up one step of management all the way up to the top of the company to help get things involved. It's just, that's how we're trained. And I believe most companies and organizations, they still do have that policy on the books. It's just folks almost never utilize it for the facts that we've covered so many times in this whole skeptic community, because folks are afraid of getting fired and folks are afraid of walking the boat.
No, I completely understand that. But I mean, if you're going to say that the training isn't there in place and everything else like that, then surely the training would be put in place for the person who's at the top already. Because otherwise, what you're trying to suggest is, and I'm not trying to take your words out of context, it's just what I'm thinking and feeling myself, is that you're saying that you will have the training, so you'll be able to help the person more than what the person already is at the top.
Well, part of it, it depends on what you're trying to do. Let me give you an example. Let's just say you're at a production factory. And in that production factory, you either see somebody skimping out on something, maybe cutting some corners or something like that. And that could lead to a poor product going to the end consumer. So, but maybe your boss, you kind of report to your supervisor, like, well, the production manager, he doesn't really, well, he's trying to save money to get his bonus or whatnot on production costs. In that case, you've gone to your supervisor. If the manager is the one directly involved, you then have the right to go up one level to like the regional manager or something. And you have your ability to work your way all the way up. I mean, again, this often gets quashed, like when we saw in, was it the Wells Fargo debacle with all those fraudulent checking accounts and stuff. Certain folks brought this up to certain managers and supervisors, and then within a couple of weeks, if they happen to come in like 2 minutes late or something, oh, they got terminated for that. And you just sit back and ask, well, if they terminated everybody that ever showed up late, you'd think they would have fired a few people before. So it starts getting into kind of a pissing contest. And dude, there's no easy answer to it. That's
No, I understand that. That's why I'm asking. It's just the proposition that you seem to be proposing is the fact that if you're able to help yourself, as in if you're able to go through all the training and everything else like that, you yourself are the one that is going to integrate change, not the people that are around you. And surely it should be, if you're working in a particular system, that you should work to change the system. But you're saying the system's already in place. It just needs to change the people.
Oh, CSG, no, we're not disagreeing. I did not articulate as well as I should have. So let me go back and rephrase that. It starts with the individual, and then individuals can help to reform the system, if that makes sense.
No, I completely understand. It's just where we differ in opinion, it seems that I'm trying to explain the fact that you're hinting at the fact that if not you as a person, but just somebody as an individual was able to start at the bottom and see that there's a problem in a particular company, for instance, and then was able to move all the way up until he got to just below the CEO or the head of director or whatever you want to call it, you're then saying that you'd be able to change that.
Well, basically, I mean, ideally, that was more the traditional sense. You worked your way up to a corporation until you're a member of the senior management team, and then you have the ability to enact power. It's just, see, for me, I believe even an entry-level employee, if they have good ideas, they got a good head on their shoulders, and they're working for the company, if they're working for their clients, the people and everything,
yeah,
they have good ideas.
Vegetarian balls. Miss Over. What's some vegetarian balls? What the things, the carroty things, the carrot ones.
Carry on memes.
What?
I think he thought his mic was muted. I don't know. No, but here's the thing.
What?
Companies technically in the U.S., they are people, but they're
I don't know. I think they're
people-like entity made up of other people. Here's the thing: you need people to make change. It's just sometimes we see ourselves as ants, but we ain't no ants. We're human beings. We all are, and we can affect change upon others, which will in turn affect the organization.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I'll leave it as that. Ogre, do you want to produce any sort of last word or anything else of that, or shall we leave it as it is, or if there's anything else you want to talk about?
Huh? Who, me?
Yeah.
Oh, I can go all night. I've got a lot of big last word. I mean, there's just no big deal. And we got a lot of people here. All I can say is Common Sense Guy for the show proper. The show proper will end when Common Sense Guy says it ends. That's the way it is tonight, period. And then after that, who knows? There might be an after something, but I do have a final word. But whatever's going on, I don't know. Mrs. Ogre's making some of these, they're called neat balls, man. Neat, not meat. What are the ones you're making? What are they called? Spinach balls. Sorry. Yeah, hell yeah. I mean, look, I'll show you. Look, these are the ones. These are the things. They're spinach balls. Oh, look at the barbecue sauce, man. No, it's okay. It's good. But there you can see there's like spinach in them and some other stuff. No, it's okay, Mrs. Over. It's fine. Oh, I'm gonna get a little barbecue sauce. No, I don't know. We were talking about some things. It's New Year's Day. I don't know. I have no clue. So, yeah, when the final words is the show over? Yeah, show proper should be over, shouldn't it? Is that what you're? Yeah, I think you just told me that show proper should be over.
Yeah. Not unless somebody else has something else to say. I mean, Magic, do you have anything else to say at all before we end the normal show?
It's all right, mate. I've already taken my cyanide tablet, so you can go to the final word if you want.
Nice. Yeah. How long have you got left?
Well, maybe about another 5 minutes. So you better hurry up.
Damn it. Well, I suppose my final word is, even though talking to people that you don't necessarily agree with, the point is that even when you don't necessarily even understand what the other person is talking about properly, it's not to lose patience or to lose any sort of aggression towards that person, because simply you're just not understanding what the person's saying. It's a case of just listen to that person a little bit more, understand it. If you have more problems, talk to the person. The thing is, people tend to lose their points of dialogue nowadays simply because they don't want to understand where that person's coming from. It's not necessarily a lack of empathy either. It's just simply the point of not taking the time to listen. We always assume things, and as the saying goes, if you assume, it makes an arse out of you and me. It's just the way that it is. And I think that's the point that we have to take away from these little topics that we talk about, is a lot of wars and a lot of problems can be sorted if we actually take the time to actually listen to what people are actually saying, rather than actually just trying to talk over them. And I think that's where a lot of this skeptic community, so to speak, as other people have mentioned today, seems to go wrong. It's their opinions are worth more than what other people's opinions are. My 70,000K channel is worth more than your 100 subscribers, so my opinion matters more. It's like, no, your opinion is an opinion. If you can back it up with facts, and fair enough, your opinion then becomes more of a stated fact, not an opinion. But if you're just debating on opinions, nobody's opinion is better than somebody else's just because you have more supporters. It doesn't work that way. It's the way that the mainstream media pop everything out as well. Oh, don't listen to these people that haven't done any research on their topics that they're talking about. Just listen to us. We do our research. That's why you get dates wrong. That's why you can't even look at proper dates and things like that.
And I'll tell you all what, I love everybody here, but I'm going to do something very unusual right now, and that is this. It's the end of this show proper. Of course, Common Sense Guy. As soon as this is over, I'm gonna go on for a while. I'll probably play a little music. It will be an after show party. The people that are here enjoying it will be here enjoying it, and it will not be reloaded. I don't see Manic Idiot or anything like that coming up. So it will be an after show that will be going on. You'll be able to enjoy it. But this is it. We're going to go from here. Final words, period. Starting with Magic Bollocks.
I was on mine already.
No, I know. I heard you. Just relax, big guy. Just relax, stud. You're fucking just relax, okay? Give me a second. Give me a second. We're going to start with Magic Bollocks, and then we're going to go to myself, and then we're going to end up with Common Sense Guy. When he says his final thing, I think I know what it's going to be, and I'll be able to hit the button at the precise time. I'll be paying close attention. That will be the end of the show, but, excuse me, you lot that's here, Memes of Destruction, hopefully y'all got us on Discord, wherever you got us. Don't blare up now and blab your mouth just to be heard. You know, Mr. What was he? What's the guy, the sick guy? Joe, what do you got? What's the guy? Lupus. Not Lupus guy or somebody else, but whatever. So that's it. We'll start with, unfortunately, I'm so sorry for you, you freaking creative. So look, Joe left too. He left. Maybe hurt his feelings, but we'll start with you. Go to me, and then we'll end up with Common Sense Guy. And then I am going to come back on. I'm going to play some music, though. It's going to be a party. So join us, man. It's going to just be a fuck fest. Rock and roll, boys.
Right. Final word. First thing to say is Mrs. Ogre. Second, listen to common sense. He knows exactly what he's talking about. Third, never, ever, ever say anything bad about Mr. Ogre's beard. It is the most convincing and complete beard I've ever seen on a man in my life. And the fact that he even has to use a little girl's tie-up to keep it together is very, very masculine. Last of which, I want you all to start this year with the right mindset. Something like Memes was using before. He's a very positive chap. I want you to go forth in your lives. I want you to do the best that you can. I don't want you to think you're going to fuck up, because you probably will if you have that mindset. I want you to go out there, think, I'm the best, I'm going to do the best, and I shall be the best. And lo and behold, when you fail, it won't be my fault. It'll be yours. But, no, I'm only teasing you. You're all brilliant people. You're all brilliant people. You're all funny. And I do enjoy spending these couple of hours with you a few times a week. Mr. Ogre is a very modest gentleman. He doesn't like to big himself up, but he does have one of the best channels on YouTube at the moment. So what you must all do is go out there, spread the word, tell everybody, why aren't you watching this show? It is the best thing you can be doing for these couple of hours. And give yourselves a pat on the back for being one of the first here, because you are the first of the many that will come. And you will have the smugness of knowing that you knew something they didn't before. So, bless you all. Have a good week, and we'll see you soon.
I'm so used to this, but I'm next. So, well, it's just wonderful being here. I already gave my reason for being allowed to be in the presence of such radiant, glory that you would only find in the cream of the crop from the mother island, the very genesis of human conquest, the pinnacle of empirical excellence. Oh yeah, yeah. My German dog's getting in the way. So I don't know. That's about all I got to say. When we're done here, I would just be, I don't know, hopefully Mrs. Ogre, she does look good. Don't just calm down, bollocks. Just relax. She does look good. So if it's all good and everybody wants to join us, just join us for the after stream. And good to have you here, Common Sense. Good to your friends and family. They might leave you.
Well, I suppose I'm not going to continue on what my previous last word was. I'm now going to do something slightly different from my last word, where I was going on about you need to have dialogue and everything else like that. Just scream, just shout. No, I'm joking. I'm just joking. But in general, just have an actual discord with somebody. If you're actually going to try and talk to somebody and explain why you think their point is wrong, don't scream and shout at them. Actually explain what your point of view is, because if you explain your point of view, coming back, and if they start calling you names, then you've already won the argument. And it's as simple as that. So on that sort of side of things, I think I'm going to leave it the way it is. So without further ado, I bid you farewell. I will see you all again real soon. Bye-bye for now.